New numbers are out, and they're not good news for Donald Trump. Headline from ABC News Washington Post poll shows Hillary with a double-digit lead. But other numbers may be even more concerning to the Donald. His support among Republicans falling. 90% of Democrats, they're behind Hillary Clinton. Only 77% of Republicans are supporting Trump. And that number is down from prior polls. And only about a third of people say that the Donald is qualified to be president. The numbers are pretty much reversed for Hillary. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, obviously a fellow Republican, he skirted that issue not once but twice on ABC yesterday.
64% of Americans say they don't think that Donald Trump is qualified to be president. Do you believe he's qualified? And how do you convince all those voters who think he isn't?
Well, look, I think there's no question that he's made a number of mistakes over the last few weeks. I think they're beginning to right the ship. It's a long time until November, and the burden obviously will be on him to convince people that he can handle this job.
I didn't hear you say whether you thought he was qualified.
Look, that'll be up to the American people to decide.
Tom, he's running out of people. You know, it's getting to be a smaller and smaller pool here. He's not doing himself any favors when he goes to Scotland, not doing any favors what he says when he's in Scotland. You got Ryan, who's hedging. You got the other rest of the field. Apparently there's reports here that Trump's folks are saying if you don't formally endorse him before we get to Cleveland, you're not going to speak at Cleveland. It could be a pretty lonely or curious podium up there, the way things are going.
Donald Trump is not that stupid as it relates to the convention. They're going to find a way. Right now, the magical answer does not exist. They're going to find a way to have a decent convention to rally around him because they know that every candidate traditionally receives a bounce after the convention. All I can say, Richard, is it was a huge blunder to attack a federal judge in the way that Trump did. That's why he's bleeding so badly. We can list a number of things, but it's still early. The election is months away. Things are going to turn around. This race is going to get much tighter.
Okay. To Dominic's point, you would think that he'd get the memo. And every single time that we think, all right, well, Trump was chagrined, he'll remove Lewandowski, or he'll go to the prompt, or whatever. Within 24 hours, he does something else inexplicable. He got tons of advice not to go to Scotland, let alone when he gets to Scotland, to stay on message, not to be throwing his arms around Brexit, not to be talking about how great the sprinkler system is that he put in there, you know, while the pound goes down the toilet. But he keeps doing it. What reasoning whatsoever, and we understand there's a policy speech that he's going to be laying out here this week.
Oh boy.
Should we think that A, he's listening, and B, he'll stay on message?
You know, that's kind of the $64 million question right now. Look, the only takeaway from that poll that I have any credence in is the qualified to be president number. I'm seeing a lot of different numbers from a lot of different polling places, including a competing poll out today from NBC that has them almost tied when you factor in third-party candidates. So this race is a lot tighter than I think that spread shows. Well, although the qualified to be president is the key there. And somebody's going to have to sit him down and say, look, this tweeting out that you're constantly doing does not fit in qualified to be president. And he's going to have to get that message. Otherwise, I think he does run the risk of this thing getting away from him. He's not going to want to change that because it's worked for him so far. You know, if you're a fastball pitcher, you don't all of a sudden start learning the breaking ball when you get to the major leagues. You stick with what got you there.
Well, that's not true. They usually
after 10
get
or
a
15
splitter
years,
going, they usually get a slider
Well, they
going.
usually have two pitches and then they develop their third. But the thing that I see that
By the way,
what's
you play
happening.
football at Hofstra?
Yes, of
Yeah,
course
okay,
I
good.
did.
Keep going. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But here's the story though.
Of course, they abolished the program after
right,
he
which
left.
was a complete disaster.
On
We could do a whole segment on that. You know, you have Hillary, okay, and the Democrats aren't truly that enthusiastic about her. But what they are enthusiastic about is keeping Donald Trump from becoming president. So Hillary's going to get a bounce and continue to get a bounce, in my estimation, because Democrats have a battle cry. And that's what any party needs, is that true battle cry. And it needs to be, we can't let this guy. Now, the Republicans have that equal battle cry on wanting to keep Hillary out. However, they also feel divided as to whether they truly want their presidential nominee.
You were there. Do you remember how...
Don't blame it on him.
No, but when you were in Tampa, it turned into a hot mess when it wasn't just when Christie decides to get up there and basically talk about Chris Christie for 25 minutes before he even mentioned Romney by name. When Clint Eastwood got up there and talked about the chair and anatomically impossible things that the chair was doing to itself. That will be, masterpiece theater compared to what Cleveland's going to look like. The idea that you get a bounce.
I disagree. And you've been, first of all, you've been trying to cast the convention that I'm going to as being utter chaos for like 3 or 4 months.
And you should be
with
fortunate.
Possibilities that it might be.
He's
but
gonna create
I don't,
the chaos,
look,
we
if
know
there's
that.
one thing that Donald Trump can do, don't you think it's put on a show for 4 days?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. That's the one qualification that he has so far. I think it's going to be a tremendously Trumpian show.
Well, yeah, and it will be a tremendous
How you
Trumpian
figure?
show, but it will not look like, it will not resemble a political convention.
I don't think he wants it to resemble a political
No, I think
convention.
that's-
His
you're probably
whole,
right.
his whole idea is breaking the mold. I'm going to be the candidate
You
that you've
still
not seen
have,
before.
you
He's gonna
still
change.
have
He's
an
gonna keep
arena
doing it his
full
way.
of Republicans who are petrified about what he's going to do to their chances to keep their jobs. I can tell you, I spoke to 4 elected officials, Republicans, this weekend. Different things. All of them are petrified.
So what?
What they think is going to happen.
so
No,
what?
he doesn't care about anybody else. But the problem is, he's one guy in an arena. The rest of the people there.
He's the guy. in
Okay,
the
right,
arena.
but the
He's
rest
the
of the people
guy.
are saying, wait a minute, what's going to
Richard,
happen here?
you've been to 1,000,000 conventions. You know that the nominee can get up there and go, "I'm great." Rah!
Didn't work for Romney.
He didn't
That
say
was the
it-
last
he
one.
didn't say it that well.
Yeah, he didn't say it that well. Listen, you can say whatever you want about Trump.
Every time he talks lately, he's hurting himself.
Richard,
Long
he's
time,
gonna
like
put
Donaldson.
on the
Long
show
time
of a
away.
lifetime. Mark my word, at the
We have a
convention.
host of bets. You say Shelley's walking. You say Trump's going to do terrific coming out of there. I say he gets a bump, less than 2 points.
No,
coming out of
I think he may get a bump, but I think going back to the endorsement part of other Republicans, I think it's going to be a problem because Republicans, first of all, down ticket, don't feel that it's going to be a great support system for him, having top of the ticket being Donald Trump. Secondly is, if Donald Trump fails miserably and then it comes up to that Republican down ticket, his or her time to be reelected, and they say, well, look back, he or she endorsed Donald Trump, it could become a black eye
Well,
for
now
that
that
individual.
the amount of people who are starting to endorse Hillary, the Republicans, and I know they don't speak for the masses, but nonetheless, those are Republicans who aren't just saying they're not going to vote for Trump, but they're going to actually vote for the Democrat and a Clinton at that. Okay,
I think
now
what he just said qualifies as an endorsement of Trump for most ordinary Republicans. People don't want to deal with the McDonald's, the George Wills of the world. This is Republicans from 50
I'll get to
years
Brexit
ago.
and how great that is, okay? But anyway, Hillary Clinton appeared with Massachusetts Senator Liz Warren in Cincinnati today. Interesting matching outfits. But anyway, Warren, she's also, by the way, on the short list of potential running mates. Also includes HUD Secretary Julian Castro, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, and Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown. There could be, a curveball there, but nonetheless, of that list or another name you have, who will help her the most, whether it be geographically, by demographic here, who can be the best attack dog? Who do you like?
I like Warren. I think Warren doubles down on exactly what Hillary's out there screaming about and making hay about. So I think Elizabeth Warren has got the name rec. I think Elizabeth Warren has, doubling down on the female vote, doubling down on the progressive side, and she certainly is an attack dog. So in the best sense of the word.
You know my feelings for Elizabeth Warren. I don't think she would be the best choice as the vice president. And this is a bad example, but the matching outfits comment, which I'll let go this time. But there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah, but men
especially
are
with-
allowed to get out there with
I'm
blue
glad
suits
you
and
said
red
it.
ties.
I'm
No,
glad you
but
said
that's
it.
fine. But nobody comments about that, and that's the point that I'm making.
So
Because
that's why she's not
no,
qualified.
but
to
that's,
be
No,
on
that's
but
going
he's
to
right,
sow
though.
some seeds of doubt in people's minds. Maybe we're not ready
It
for
does
two
look like
women.
a sleepover.
Maybe
Look at it.
Okay,
It's
that's
ridiculous.
that's borderline inappropriate.
It's ridiculous. Look at it.
Okay, that's fully.
But here, but
So,
here
but that's
the-
going to sow some seeds of doubt that maybe we're not ready for
Don't
two
you
women
think
on the ticket
what
at the
she's
same
gonna
time. And I
do-
don't think that brings everything that she needs. Plus, I think she needs to try to take into the center. She's going to get the left eventually. She doesn't need to play to the left in the VP choice.
Don't you think that she will energize the Sanders people and bring the young people to
That's
her
so-
and make
it's
her
more
even
about
more
She will, but
enthusiastic?
That's where I agree.
think she can count on those voters
Andrew,
anyway.
it's
I'm
not
not sure of
about.
that.
No, I understand you can count on them, but you're talking about trying to generate enthusiasm right now to a campaign that has very little enthusiasm.
But you're talking about a Republican nominee who is unliked by his own party. Why wouldn't you try to poach those voters instead of play down?
I just want to say quickly, Richard, before you go to a break. Warren, solely for one, because she gets under Trump's skin, and reminds voters for why they shouldn't like him. But two, notice while we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, notice the one name that we're really not talking about.
Hillary Clinton.
Bernie Sanders. He's an afterthought now. As long as you've got Warren on the ticket,
But you know
Bernie
what?
doesn't matter.
You need
Ted
someone who's
Kennedy,
got to
Ted Kennedy was able to do a lot, and he wasn't the running mate for Obama back then. I still think Warren can do that, and I think at the
And
end of the
someone's
day,
gotta be able to
Tim
take on
Kaine,
Trump,
Tim
because-
Kaine's a vanilla candidate here who maybe calms some fears down. That's who I think.
If she
is
puts the
added
wrong
trouble.
candidate up for vice president, Trump is going to tear into that person relentlessly,
Well, I
and
think
it's going
she
to tear
Every
sounds-
down
time
the
he
ticket.
talks, I
sounds
think
like
she
a
was coming
ranting,
next.
raving maniac.
Britain voted to get out. Can it now get back in? We'll discuss all that and Brexit after the break.